we just went. Anybody see Power Rangers Once and Always?
Yeah!
First time I've been back in 28 years, which is crazy because, wow, 28 years is a long time. And like, that's like, you know, you grew up, you graduated high school, you graduated college, you got married, had a kid, and you're 28! It's been that many years. It's like, it's crazy. To go back to the show after so long and reprise my character exactly was very exciting for me. I felt like, you know, we had so many fans worldwide in the beginning of the series, and then the show prematurely, and I didn't really get a chance to say goodbye or to be wrapped properly. It was like I was there, and then I was not, and then I was gone, but I was planning to come back, but it just didn't happen. So here I am, back after 28 years. Had a great time shooting in New Zealand. It was amazing. Working with David Yost. David Yost, Billy! And that was cool because we've always had this relationship. We've been, you know, Walter Jones and David Yost, Zach and Billy, and it's not like the character ever left us because, you know, it's been 30 years and I swear I could walk around in the world and at least 3 times a day somebody's going, Zach? And I'm like, oh, you must have done with me. That's not my name, but I guess that's my name. To be back after 30 years of working with David and reprising our characters was very exciting and super surreal. Being in the juice bar, the command center, and talking about putties and having Rita come up and give us a hard time. It was pretty amazing. Romy has not been on the show. When did you leave the show?
Same time too.
Same time?
Yeah.
Really? The very same time?
Very same time. Yeah, then the new characters came in, and then Sandy Stelmer took over for Alpha.
I didn't know that. Yeah. See, every day. So I'm sure you guys have questions. You probably want to ask some questions. We'll be glad to answer questions right now.
Did you say you have kids?
I have 2 kids.
How do your kids feel about you being a Power Ranger? Is it they like it, or is it like the Red Ranger's their favorite?
It's funny because they don't really care. They're like, yeah, it's my dad. So I don't even know, they didn't really watch the Rangers that much. My son saw some of the episodes. I recall when he was about 2 years old, and he was sitting in his high chair. 2 years old. Maybe high chair, 16 months old or whatever. But he was watching TV. Power Rangers comes on, and he's sitting there, he looks at the TV and goes, and he looks at me and goes, I don't know how you did that, but that's such a good thing, man. I don't know how do you, okay, that's weird, it's weird. So, but it's more about their friends being like, your dad's the Black Ranger. They're like, yeah, you know. My daughter comes to me, she's like, my friend wants you out of that. Okay. I'm like, all right, that's what I was looking for. She said, thank you, Dad. You know, but they don't really care. They're like, you're our dad, and that's all we know you. And Power Rangers is cool, but that's cool.
Oh, did you want to know what it's like? I have a daughter who's 18. Never watched the show. She thinks the Comic-Con was really cool because she's a 15. And she gets to keep out of fans and just see me engage with them. She's like, I really can't meet you, huh? I'm like, yeah. Because again, you know, like with Walter, I'm just mom. So it doesn't matter that, you know, I did that show 30 years ago. It's kind of a fun thing for her. Sometimes she tells her friends, like, you know, what? They think that's kind of cool to me to see the show. But yeah, she was just like into it. And she could like look at the show and see my character and look at me like, your kids did. And I don't look like my character. I don't normally walk around with a big old helmet on my head, but I'll make it pretty.
So speaking of the helmet, how long did it take to get in and out of that?
Well, the helmet alone wasn't horrible. It was like the suit. So I had to wear a whole spandex suit underneath everything. Then we strap on the knee pads, strap on the elbow pads, then the booty armor, and then the top thing, which was made of fiberglass and like super heavy. And then right before a take, then I would like, you know, put my hood over my hair, and then lower the helmet, and then the way down my arm to my glove. So whenever Alpha spoke, you would see red lights flashing. Well, in this day and age, I was all done in post-production. This was old school. I had a button in my glove, and I would press the button to turn on my lights.
I didn't know that.
You didn't know that? No. And then inside the suit, there was a little battery pack that lit up the light bulb, and there was a switch on the side. So before I take it, would like turn on the switch, I'd be doing my thing, all of a sudden, lights are dimming, like, okay, cut, gotta change Alpha's battery pack. I have to open up the whole thing, change out the batteries.
I remember those days because we were in the command center, which is it was a long day shooting because in the command center we had the command center booth or whatever, and all the buttons, and then Jordan wasn't there. Jordan was a piece of tape on a high stand, and we would look at this piece of tape all day, talking to it like it was Jordan. And we'd be ready to shoot. They would like the scene or whatever. And they are we ready to shoot? We gotta dress Alpha. Now we're at another 15 minutes. And we're like, she's like, all right, guys, I'll be right there. And then she was ready, and it was so cute. Like, it was a tough job. She had a tough job because it was like, it can't be the most comfortable thing to be. And it was long days. We were doing like sometimes 16-hour days. So in and out of the suit. I can't imagine what it was like for you to have to go to the bathroom. Like, I had to be all under, like, oh my God, 700 for Alpha. That had to go. I mean, for us, because wearing the suit would zip all the way up from down lower back, all the way up to your neck. And, when you had to go to the bathroom, sometimes, it was pretty tough. Like Austin likes to say, there were a couple of times where he almost became the Yellow Ranger.
Well, with Fred, though, it would have been orange.
I guess.
I want to mention, though, for a second, as he brought up the thing about Zordon not being there. I don't know about you, but I hadn't met David Fielding in person anywhere until Power Morphicon, I think, just a few years ago. Never met the man in person. He was my boss in the command center. Never knew him.
Alpha.
Did you met him?
We met him. David Fielding, he shot one day. So he came in with hair, and they were having auditions for Zordon. So I think we were all like there, and the guys were doing the reading, and it was a couple of guys, and they did the voice, they read the line, and it was like okay. There was I think there was a squeaky voice, the guy was like Rangers, like almost like Alpha voice, but it was different. I was like, oh. And then he came Rangers, and we were like, that's our Zordon. There it is. So. They shaved his hair off, and they shot him one day, and then they just used his face over and over again. You couldn't see his mouth, so you didn't see what he was actually
It was
saying.
kind of blurry,
Yeah.
so he could be saying anything, or like,
Yeah.
and then they would just voice over whatever. But you had actually met him.
We met him on the one day, and then we never saw him again. But now I do compounds with him. I call him Papa Z. What up, Papa Z?
He's a good guy.
Who does that?
Okay. Did you see him? A little. So where the red lights were in my helmet, that was all I could do basically. So it was limited, but I had enough vision to like hit my mark, push the right buttons, do my thing, hopefully not fall off the edge of the stage, which almost happened one time. The director had me running around like a maniac and like went ballistic, almost went off the edge of the stage.
Do you remember when Zach talked Alpha and hockey?
Of course I do. That was my favorite team.
That was a fun episode, right? I was like, all right, here we go. Teach Alpha. I was thinking,
I get to do something different.
that's cool. And Alpha, we would always like, Zach would always beat Alpha with like a handshake or something like. So in Power Rangers Once and All, we had Alpha 9, right? So we had that one scene where I walk in and I see Alpha, and I do the handshake with him. I'm like, this is Alpha, back it up, and it's like,
so I was watching the other day, like we're going back through. So if you go back to season 1, and I think it was episode 4, Pumpkin. So, I'm not gonna be that.
people can do that.
They know all the lines to every
So
episode.
no, you're in a plane, you're going to New Zealand, you get there, you get on set, all the other actors show up. When does the actual nostalgia factor hit for you personally? You're like, this is it, I'm Zach Taylor and I'm doing this.
So we had a rehearsal process, and I was working the stunts with the stunt guys, like figuring out the fights and what we're gonna do. And, we didn't see, I think we were there for a week before we started shooting, and then we got into the command center to shoot. And I was like, this is crazy. And they actually have a tube there, Resorton now. Resorton, of course, is not there. There's a big crack in the tube. I'm looking like, dang, Resorton would be. You know, it was like, I was having these thoughts. That and the juice bar, walking to the juice bar and being like, yo, this is crazy. This is like, this juice. We had a lot of good times in this room, you know? Like, I had my dance off with Paul, and I used to flirt with Angela and like all this stuff. But of course, it was very different. It wasn't the same juice bar. It looked very similar. It was a little upgraded. It was smaller, actually. But I think the biggest form of nostalgia came in when it was time to say the morning. Like when we in the command center, when I walk up and go, it's warming time. I'm like, oh, shit, here we go. All right, it's on and cracking. And it's funny because like in the 2017 movie, I watched that, and, you know, that was a cool movie. I enjoyed it. It was interesting. But I hated the way they said it's warming time. They were like, it's warming time. I was like, no, that's not the way they do it. It's like when we say it's warming time, you know what's about to go down. It's like, nah, it's like, you already know. It's like, oh yeah, we're about to need this right now. I was like, it's not that casual. You can't say it's warming time. No, it's warming time. No. So.
I had a question. So when you guys were early in your career, whether you were looking at your agents came to you, it's like, guys, Japanese karate cartoon, right? We're going to take the fight scene and cut it, and you guys are going to do scenes really for you. Or it's always your reaction, it's like initially coming up front.
Well, we had no idea. I mean, we hadn't seen the Japanese footage. In fact, when I auditioned for the show, it was not called Power Rangers, it was called Phantoms. I got a call from my agent who said, hey, listen, they're doing this show, it's a pilot, and if it gets picked up, they're going to do 40 episodes. It's non-union, but you're going to be a superhero. They're looking for somebody that can do hip-hop, that can do martial arts, and that can do gymnastics. I'm like, I do all that. I'm like, all right. You go in, they want to see you. And I was like, all right, well, when? It's this Friday. I'm like, I'm on a plane to go to Florida, because I was doing Star Shoot. And I was bummed because I couldn't do it. I was like, I'm missing an audition. This is like a big audition. It's a TV show. I've never done a TV show. I'm missing out on this opportunity. Well, I got sick on the plane. I was supposed to sing on Star Shoot. Got sick on the plane, and I couldn't sing. I had to be the backup and let my backup be the singer we lost. We didn't do well on the show. So I went back to LA, and by the time I got back, my voice was fine. Agent called me back again and said, hey, we're going to see you Wednesday. It's over. So I went in and I did my audition, and you know, after the process was like 2 weeks. We did the show, we did the pilot. I didn't know what the costumes looked like. I didn't know what a Megazord was. You know, what a diner, like any of that stuff. It was like, what is that? What are putties? What is that? We didn't know. I was like reading the script. I had no concept of what it was going to look like. And then after we shot the pilot, I think the producer said, hey, there's some Sentai footage upstairs you want to go see what the show looked like as a band. And we looked at it and was like, oh, okay. Obviously, we didn't know it was going to, you know, make millions of dollars. We didn't know it was going to be a famous show. In fact, I took the pilot home to my family after the pilot. The pilot was a little weird. It was like, I remember the morphing sequence. Hey, you guys ever see the Lost episode? That was the pilot. All right, so they talk about Zach. Zach, he dons the power of the Mastodon, and then I morph into the Mastodon. I thought that was the strangest thing ever. I was like this, and I was like, what is that? What is morphing? I don't know. Can somebody explain to me what morphing is? I didn't know that much. So after we did the pilot, then we did the pilot because Fox thought the show was too violent. So in the original pilot, we get into the fight in the bowling alley with both the skull, different skull, but one eye skull. And it was a little darker. Right? Audrey Dubois was our Yellow Ranger. She was tough and nails and was kicking butt all kinds of ways. And they felt like, oh, this is a little violent for the kids, maybe we should change it up. So we did a new one. And in this one, we didn't attack at all. We didn't fight, we didn't punch, we didn't kick, we avoided. So if somebody tried to hit us, we just move out of the way, and they fall in the putty or like balloons or something. And that was a little too much, so then we found our happy medium. So we said, okay, no kicks to the face, no kicks to the, no punches to the face, body stop, we'll do body stop. Or we'll miss, we'll do kicks, but we'll miss. So that's what ended up playing, and then once the show started going, we did probably like 8 to 10 episodes before the show even aired. Because we were shooting 40 episodes, it was gonna be on every day. And we shot a bunch of shows, maybe 20 episodes before the show even aired. And I remember being on Venice Beach, walking down the street, and these kids walked up to me and they're like, yo, you're the Black Ranger. I was like, yeah, I am, but how do you know? The show's not even out yet. They're like, I just bought your toy and your face is on the box. I was like, I have a toy? They're like, yeah, you got an action figure, your face is on the box. I'm like, I got an action figure. I was talking to my cousins with me. I looked at my cousins, I got an action figure and my face is on the box. He looked at me and said, you got an action figure, your face is on the box. Yeah, we started walking down the beach, I got an action figure, my face is on the box. I was excited. Now, I had not seen that. That's it, hey, how you doing? My name is Walter, I got an action figure, my face is just going nasty. That's the thing. But it was, so the show, the toys were selling out off the shelves at Toys R Us before the show had even been aired. And then within the first week, the producers came downstairs and looked at me and Austin were sitting down at lunch and said, congratulations guys, you are the #1 kids show in the world. And we looked at each other and said, did you say the world? The world? What? That's crazy. It was like, we didn't even fathom it. We didn't understand it because we're in LA, we're shooting. We're on set every day. The show airs, but we didn't really realize how big it was. We didn't know that it was, in 40 countries, really. It wasn't until later, like, even when the show was a hit, we met you guys as kids. You guys were itty-bitty people, and you were coming out, hey, Zach! Hugging me, and it was cool, or you were scared, you were like crying, but, it wasn't until 20 years later, when you guys were adults, and you came up to us, and you're like, hey, what's up, man? And I grew up watching your show. You motivated me to be this. I was inspired. I'm a Marine now. I want to be like you. I'm like, these stories blew me away. I was like, what? You were affected in that way? Like, to now know that we had this positive influence on people all around the world. And for 30 years, 3 generations of fans, 3 decades of fans, is humbling, amazing, and just, it's beyond words. I mean, like, I think it's something every person wants to have in their life, is to make a mark of some sort, to leave the world a better place in some way. And I can tell you that I am so grateful that I was given the opportunity to portray this character and motivate people in a way to want to be the best that they can be the best people they can be.
Okay, let me see if I can get my shift covered. So I called in, we were all actors that worked at this restaurant. Like, yeah, no problem, just, go do your audition, come to work later. I'm like, okay. So I go in, I meet the producer, just have to read some lines, and do some robotic movement, talk a little bit. He goes, okay, well, we really like you, but we're seeing a few more people, so we'll let you know. I'm like, okay, that's cool, whatever. Didn't see any of the Japanese footage, really didn't know anything about the show, absolutely nothing. So then next day, get a phone call, got the part. Like, okay, cool. So booked an acting gig, great. Still, no clue what this was going to turn into. And still haven't seen Japanese footage, anything else about the show. Also, as you probably know, Alpha wasn't even part of the Japanese series. That was 100% an American addition to the show. So that was kind of cool. So get on set, meet all these guys, do costume fittings, all that. And then, like Walter was saying, we didn't know the impact it had until I was at my friend's apartment, and he said there were a bunch of kids out in the pool area, and they're all like sword fighting and pretending they're Power Rangers. I'm like, you gotta be kidding me. He goes, no, like everybody's like so into it. This is like a really big thing. Like, okay. Just really shocked at the impact it all had. And again, 30 years later, wow, you guys are all here. You're still into it. You're still fans. It's neat. And then the next generation, all your kids are watching it. because thank you YouTube, thank you Netflix, so it keeps going and going and going, and it's nice. So quite a legacy.
Was I part of the audition?
Yes. Yes, it was. And for the longest time, because I would do all the lines on set, wearing my suit, and I would do the voice, ay. And for the longest time, I thought that was me on TV as the voice. Until I found out somebody was actually dubbing it over because they wanted to be a male voice. So they had Richard Horvitz dubbing over really exactly what I did on set. So that kind of threw me for a loop. Like, well, they could have just mic'd me and I could have just done it, but they had it be a boy, and I guess they didn't think I sounded boyish, but we actually sound quite a bit alike. So, yeah, I am definitely part of the interview, though.
So the first season was like, I think a full 60 episodes by the time it was done. And that's a lot of fight scenes in the unmarked sequences. How much leeway did you have in terms of choreography?
Well, hip hop keto is not something that anybody else could see except for me. So I had a lot of it. I mean, like, we had a stunt coordinator. We had a couple of stunt coordinators, and they were great at setting the shot, and they would give different rangers like ideas, like we would do this punch sequence, you're gonna do this kick, and so forth and so on. But when it came to me, they're like, so what do you want to do? And I was like, oh, okay, well, because I got to figure out why am I dancing and fighting? How does that work? Like, I remember the pilot, I was thinking, you know, we're getting attacked for the first time by these things that we don't know what they are, and my friends are in jeopardy, we're losing, you know, we're getting thrown across the place, and I'm like, why do I start dancing? And this is weird. It's like, this is not funny. It's like, okay, this is a dire circumstance. Why would I do this? And I thought, well, I thought about Muhammad Ali. I thought Muhammad Ali would do shuffle. And that was a distraction. It's like, you look at my feet and then throw a punch. And I was like, okay. Well, that's the concept. So maybe the dancing is a way for me to get in and out of stuff. You know, it's like, you know, you don't know what's coming. Now you look at me like, he should be afraid, but he's dancing. And so what I did in the pilot is I was like as an introduction, I was like, okay, I'm walking up to you, you don't know where it's coming from, look at my feet, and there's a kick, you know, and there's a punch. And eventually, as time went by, it became less about the intro of the dance, because that's where it started. It became more about fluid movement and then dancing, the spinning, and just being athletic. I did stuff from Jackie Chan, I took stuff from Capoeira, I took stuff from all different kinds of things. And like hip hop, you know, played into it where I would think, if somebody's gonna swing instead of me just like ducking, I can duck and I can move. And I can evade them in a way that was stylish. So hip hop keto was probably the funnest thing for me to do on the Rangers, because it was exciting to come up with different ways to come up and fight and defend people and do flips and show my athletic prowess. The stunt guys were amazing. So they came up with lots of ideas. They were like, hey, you can do this. Well, I think this would be cool. And I am a sponge when it comes to movement. So I would see stuff that they would tell me to do, and I would like, okay, I'll take that and make my own. And then some of the stunts I did with hip hop keto just came up, kind of the whole thing. Like, I did one stunt where we're in the park and I'm being chased by these puppies chase me through the park, and I get the idea that I'm going to jump up and grab a branch, and I'm going to swing over the top of the branch and come back and kick him in the back. That is not something that's easy to do, or even kind of human. So I tried it and it didn't work. I mean, I did it, but it was sloppy. I went up, I fell on top of the branch, came back down, and went under. It wasn't smooth. So the stunt guy said, hey, what if I push it? Because the camera's shooting from here, they can't see them. They see me behind me, but they can't see me pushing. So this guy's pretty strong. His name is Eric Betts. I run, I jump up, grab the momentum, I'm swinging, he pushes me, I go up and over the branch, come back, kick him in the back, and it looks amazing on camera. It's like, yeah, that was dope, you know. But those are like the kind of things that Zach did that also incorporated the hip hop keto. And of course, when I did the episode where I taught the kids hip hop keto, I had to come up with a kata. Like, how would in this kata I would teach dancing within the form of martial arts, and then that, you know, you had the classic body mold, that kind of thing, and some pop locking and stuff, like going to the ground, coming up to like, levels. So that was amazing. That's my favorite part of shooting Rangers.
So, what, for both of you, I mean, when you got your suit, and when you got your suit, what was y'all's first reaction when you saw it? Like, I know, like you said you didn't have any idea anything about it, so what was going through y'all's minds when you saw, well, this is what I'm going to be wearing?
So they built the suit around me. I was kind of part of the process, but the original suit was kind of janky. I mean, it was like hockey pads and hockey gloves that they spray painted. It was really low budget. And then they built the whole top and just, fitted it to me. It was like, all right, this is my life now, okay? And placing the gold flying saucer on my head, like, great, that's fun. So, yeah, a little disappointed. And I kept fighting to get maybe another part on the show too on the side. Can't I be like one of the kids at some point? Like, oh, sure, yeah, we'll let you know. I'm like, yeah, that was kind of fun, but. Remember that?
Yeah. I remember when the wardrobe said, "Okay, guys, your costumes are on," and we're like, "Really?" So I was the first one. It was where I going to the wardrobe. I was the first one to walk in, and I see the Red Ranger costume hanging up on the wall. Like, "Ooh, that's dope. That's a cool costume." The next one is the Black Ranger costume. Oh, I want this one. And they was like, "That's yours." I was like, "Yeah." So I was excited to see, and this is without the helmet. Point. I just saw the costume. So I am from Detroit, Michigan. So grew up in Detroit, Michigan, predominantly black city. Motown, Motor City. Grew up, very proud of being a young black man. And to be a superhero wearing a black suit was perfect for me. I'm like, this is black, I thought it was very exciting. And then later on, to realize that I was actually the first black superhero on live action TV also gave me great pride. Because I was like, I was thinking, am I the first black superhero on TV? And I thought, well, I saw Mantis. That was a movie of the week. But on a live action TV show, I was the first one. So I was very proud of that.
What were some of the filming locations for Power Rangers? I bet there were some cool ones. I mean, obviously some of it's set, but I know y'all have outside stuff.
We did a lot of on-site stuff. So we did beaches. We did Ken Pond Park. We shot a lot of stuff there. It was a big park with hills and ponds and swings and slides and all these different things that we could play with. In the first season, when it was still kind of weird, we even hijacked some shots. We went down to Venice Beach and we were in a van. It was like they didn't have a permit to shoot. So they were like, okay, okay, guys, just jump out, do the thing, jump back in the van. And we're like, this is weird. But we shot it, and they were into the shot. It was I think it was second unit. So and we jumped out of the van and we were walking behind and doing our scene, and then we jumped back in the van and it was like this whole getaway thing. It was weird. So that was strange. Then we shot at an amusement park. That was fun. That was no clowning around with the clown, but that was awesome because they had a bunch of extras. We're lines for the different rides, and I had that scene with the buddy with the big boat that swings. I'm like, the hand is quicker than the eye. The buddy gets wiped out by the big thing. Well, that was interesting because I go to amusement parks all the time, and I ride that boat that swings, and I love that. Well, it's different to be on the side of that ride while it's moving because you can feel the wind and I'm like, oh my God, this feels dangerous. this feels really dangerous. So I'm like, okay. But it was exciting, and just the opportunity to be in places as an actor, to be in places you would never really find yourself. I did a show called The Shield once before. It was a Golden Globe, won a Golden Globe. Michael Chiklis won an Emmy on the show. I played Rondo Robinson. Well, in my final episode, I get shot. I got 6 shots in the chest. I'm found in an alley. And I am shooting the scene, playing it, in an alley, in an actual alley with glass and stuff everywhere, like laying on these rocks. And I'm laying there thinking, I would never do this. I would never in my life just lay in an alley. This is my work. Okay, this is interesting. You know, it was kind of wild. So we shot in lots of different locations, bowling alleys and so forth and so on. But it was always an experience, interesting experience.
So one of my all-time favorite episodes actually comes from Power Rangers Dino Thunder, and it was actually my introduction to the series as a whole. And it was the 4th episode, I believe, with the video diary by Tommy Oliver. And just to have seen all those different generations of Power Rangers was really cool. And so if there was a new generation of Power Rangers that had to do something similar, would you, Walter, be the one who would record that video diary, or who would you like to see record a video diary like that?
Well, I think that's a very interesting idea. We should talk to somebody about that. I don't know. I mean, that would obviously be up to the script writer or whatever, but now that I'm back, now that I've been back on the show, as long as it continues to be a side show, I would love to do more. So I think there's a lot more stories to be told, and I think the fans, I think you guys will love it because you guys are loyal, man. We got the best fans in the world. 30 years, y'all.
Stick with it.
It's wild. I mean, I've been doing Comic-Con maybe about 14 years. Before that, they weren't very popular, but the last 14 years, I've been going to lots of Comic-Cons, and I've met a lot of different actors from a lot of different shows. Some big shows that I grew up with, like, you know, Star Trek, Star Wars, like these are the prime shows that I've seen, but I've seen a lot of shows come and go, you know, like new shows that were hit shows, and then you don't see them anymore. But our fans have just continuously been there for 30 years, and you keep populating. Your kids are getting older too. I'm like, didn't I meet you when you were 7? That's crazy. Now you're 27. It's kind of weird. I don't know. Yeah, it's wild. We are not.
In the back.
Yeah.
Did you keep any of the suits and the helmets?
Oh gosh, no.
No.
They didn't let us.
When I left the show thinking I was coming back. If I knew I wasn't, I'd know I was taking this.
Right? Just come in with a duffel bag in the middle of the night.
Right.
See you here.
No, unfortunately, I don't have any of the suit stuff. I think I have a communicator that was given to me. I have the skateboard from the pilot. I have the juice bar sign from Ernie's Juice Bar.
Oh,
That's kind of cool, yeah. It was it was given to me later on, years later. My friend Danny, I think somebody had given it to my friend Danny, and Danny was like, "Hey, you want this?" I was like, "Yeah." So so I had that, and I had a shirt that Zach wore, but it wasn't like the most exciting shirt. It was one like little black shirt with like little purple stripes go across. It's still sitting in my closet. I wore it one year for Halloween, and nobody knew what it was, and I'm like, I'm putting this back away.
Just you say it that I can remember that outfit.
Was that you remember that? I was like, Zach had the coolest clothes because I had like all these like multi-colors, and you know everybody had to wear green or red or yellow, but I had black with lots of colors, so that was awesome.
So the show's taking off, and then this I've seen footage of it. This a live stage show happens. It turns into it causes complete chaos and literally shuts down a freeway for the sheer amount of traffic.
Yep.
It's at that point that you guys know, yeah, we're here.
Yeah, that was my biggest Michael Jackson moment. It was like, it wasn't supposed to be that. It was supposed to be a small show. They said, "Hey guys, so you know, for the producers and the network, they want to do a show, a live show with you guys. It's going to be at Universal Studios in the Wild West Stunt Show area," which I knew well because I did the Wild West Stunt Show, and I was like, "Oh, I know that arena. It's a pretty sizable arena, and you get a lot of people in there. Cool. I think it fit maybe 1,500, 1,200 people. And then, as we got closer, they're like, guys, there's been a lot of demand for other people who want to see the show, so we're going to move it from there to the Universal Amphitheater. Now, this is where Michael Jackson or Janet Jackson would have a concert. This is like a huge amphitheater. It's like seats, I don't know, 7,000 people or something like that.
More than that.
More. Well, I know we saw 30,000 people that day, which is crazy. But it was supposed to be one show. It turned out it was 6 shows. And it was wild because we rehearsed for it, and it was the first time that we were wearing suits and doing stunts on a stage, which was very different because the lights are shining on us and you can't see. It's hard enough to see in the helmet, but you can't see. And we were on the scaffolding, and as we enter the stage, we would do a flip off the scaffolding, right? So it's like, okay, he does the power of the Black Ranger, he is Zach, and so I would do a front flip, land on this mat, but I can't see. And so I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna overdo the flip a little bit, so once I hit the mat, I'm gonna roll out of it, so it'd be, boom, zoom, and I get up and hit my karate stance, and I do karate all the way down, and I get to the middle stage, and I take off my helmet, and the crowd goes, and there are lights, and like, when on Star Trek when they go to warp speed, it was like that, cameras, I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. The energy was unlike anything I've ever experienced. And we did 6 shows that day, 30,000 people we saw, shut down traffic from downtown to, the freeway was closed. It basically was just a parking lot. And we were on the news. It was like Tom Brokaw was going, today the Power Rangers just shut down LA. I was like, wow, we did that. That was amazing. You were there, you did the...
I didn't do that, but I did, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a live tour all across the country of Power Rangers Live. And I actually was a part of that. So I toured the whole country.
You did?
And I did. I didn't know.
No.
You know so little about me.
I know, it's crazy.
I mean, shooting a TV show is one thing. There's no audience, there's no feedback, there's no reaction. This was a whole other animal. Just the kids screaming and laughing and cheering. It's incredible. And then just going across country to sell out crowds everywhere we went. I mean, all down south, all through Georgia. I mean, I was all over Tennessee, Florida. We had another tour going at the same time, like up to the northern states. We did that for 6 months straight, and it was just time of my life. Wouldn't trade it for everybody.
Damn,
So cool. Yeah.
That's all.
What's
my dancer friends with you?
You actually asked it earlier.
Oh, okay. Oh,
If you have to keep anything, I was gonna say.
anyone else? Yeah.
Yeah, so what has, post Power Rangers, what has been something you took from there? Like, your lessons, what lessons have you taken from your time on Power Rangers to like any other projects you've done after?
That's a good question.
Don't work non-union.
Yeah, exactly. After I left Power Rangers, I immediately went to SAG, and I've been working as a Screen Actors Guild actor since then. But I gained a lot of experience from doing the show. I mean, like, it was really an education of television because doing so many episodes, I did 85 episodes that day. I mean, I really got to know how to work the camera, how to find my light, how to find my mark, how to pull things out of my fellow actors. And so I definitely took that education with me into the rest of my career. Comedy moments, building comedy moments, like, it was like doing martial arts for the camera. This is because in the pilot, I think we hadn't learned yet that when you throw a punch or you throw a kick as an actor, it has to be big, it has to be long, you have to make it, as a real martial artist, we make kicks fast and short, it's like a quick punch, but this has to be like, you see the punch, you see the kick coming, and you extend the leg completely, or you jump and you spin, and like, I was doing jump, flying kicks, spinning, and it was almost like dancing, because I had to have the leg long and angled and land, which is nothing that you would do in a real fight, because you don't have as much power. You would go snap, you know. But that doesn't show as well on TV. So I think that's the kind of stuff I brought with me into the rest of my career.
Just don't recommend.
So I asked this of Walter yesterday when I went to his table. So Romy, let me ask you the same question.
Yeah.
What was your favorite thing about working on set with Jason Davis, right?
Just, I guess, the camaraderie, and I mean, he always had such a great sense of humor. And he was just a kind person. Just, you know, said hello to everybody, greeted everyone with a smile, and just, I don't know, very warm and genuine. So, it was lovely working with them. I mean, the whole cast, really, everybody was terrific. We had a great crew as well. Everybody got along really well.
Anyone else? Any other questions?
Do you guys ever have a for real? Were you guys wearing out and you can't see anything?
Oh yeah, we had a number of blooper reels that have never come out. There's probably a reason for that. We had the sound guys especially had lots of fun. Because we did ADR, we would go into the ADR studio and we would film stuff. And sometimes they would say this. And we'd say it and they edited and put it into a blooper reel. It was like, oh, that was really inappropriate. Outrageous stuff. That is crazy. But they did have a couple of blooper reels that I remember them showing at like shows. We would do, we'd have an anniversary or a holiday party, and they would play a blooper reel. And I never received any of those, but they were.
No, I didn't either. I never saw one. That'd be cool.
It was mostly like
You could have that.
not remembering lines or messing up like in the middle of a take or falling during a fight or something like that. I remember I had one fight, which was pretty bad. We were doing this trick where the joke was I was going to punch the punch in the stomach, which would make me go up, and I'll punch him in the face and go back down, stomach, face, right? Okay, so we didn't have a lot of time to rehearse all of the fights, and obviously working with the stunt guys with the putty mask off and then with it on kind of changes, you know, what you can see and maybe timing and stuff. So I'm doing this stuff where I go and I punch him in the stomach, he comes up, I punch him in the face, and I actually connected right in his nose. And I felt it. I was like, boom, bah! And he was like, oh! And I was like, oh my God, okay. And they're like, keep filming. keep going. And I'm like, but okay. And the punches still pop coming at me. I'm like, so I finished the fight, and then they go cut, and this guy is just on the ground, and instead of going, he's like, and then he took off the mask, and his nose is just shattered. I felt so horrible. I was like, oh my God. But the stunt guys, that's the job that they do, and you know, he repaired his nose and came back to work, and so it was a thing. And he didn't hold it against me. It was just like, it was just one of those things. Like, you know, we're doing physical stuff, but that was horrible. That was not in the blooper reel. Yes.
Since Zach is back, can we look forward to seeing you on the screen again soon?
You know what? I think that would be a good idea. I don't know. We gotta see what happens with Hasbro. Hasbro and Netflix. I know there's lots of things that they have planned. Jonathan and Whistle's doing a couple of projects. I hear there's an animation project coming up. I hear there's another live-action TV show coming up. I know they are still shooting in New Zealand with the current cast. I don't know, I think this Power Rangers series, this movie, this special, opened up a lot of doors. It's like, because it's done so well. It's like, it hit number 2 or number 3 globally on Netflix, which is very impressive, because not a lot of shows do that. And we got to number 3 in the United States on shows, and then it was like number 6 in Brazil, or number something. So it's charting. It's doing really, really well. It's had over 8 million views. So, I don't know. I don't see them going, well, we got to leave this money on the table. So, you know, maybe they'll do something. We'll see. But I haven't heard anything as of yet.
Speaking of money on the table, just for me as a fan, first season, you guys are #1 in the world. How did that translate over into budget? Some of it for season 2, you get Lord Zed, who in the first handful of episodes, terrifying for kids.
Right.
You've got Ron Wasserman's music kicking in hard. You've got folk during fight scenes.
Yeah.
Special effects, the putties exploding. Did you guys like reap any benefits of that in terms of?
We got a small raise, and they lowered the quality of craft service. Like what? And in the beginning, we had all these great foods, like like muffins and snack bars and like healthy stuff.
And then
season two was like It's crazy.
You mentioned the Screenwriters Guild and kind of the unionization. So, like for technical actors and stuff, as far as like Hollywood, is there more in place today so people can get like? You said the toys are coming out, so they probably didn't need that paid wise. However, I'm just curious. Does the Screenwriters Guild kind of help out with that, or?
Well, SAG, if it's a Screen Actors Guild union show, then you're protected. Just automatically. There's rules that have to be abided by. But if it's a non-union show, right, it's scaled by. But if it's a non-union show, then basically it's kind of open to whatever they choose. When we signed the contracts, we were aware there was a non-union show, and we were told by Saban when we got our contracts, all right, guys, you're hired, but you can here's your contract, you take it to your agent or your lawyer, but the first person who wants to change anything, we're gonna fire you and hire somebody else. So at that point, it was like, well, it's 40 episodes. Never had a show. Do I do it or do I not do it? I know this is not fair, but I'm going to take it for the experience. And once that happened, it's like the second season, the pay got a little bit better, but it still wasn't great. And considering they made $1 billion in the first year.
We all knew it.
And we all knew
that
it.
they were killing it, but
They weren't passing it down.
There's no trickle down economics.
Yeah. So it was like, okay, well, it's a show like this. We'll just keep going. It'll get better. We'll get better. And then they said, "Hey guys, we got this movie. 20th Century Fox. We're gonna do a movie. It's great. They want to do a contract. They want all of you guys to be in it. It's gonna be amazing. We already signed the contract. We're just gonna give you a contract to sign." And then the contract was non-union. It was garbage. And it wasn't just one movie. It was 3 movies. It was like 3 movies already set with the price. You're gonna pay this, I'm gonna give you this, we're gonna give you this. It was like, no, you're not doing that to us no more. We're done with that. And now it's time to negotiate. Before we were actors that nobody knew, but now we are the faces of this hit show that's global, and it's time for us to stand up for ourselves. So that's what we tried to do. We should have done it all together. If we had done it all together, it would have made a difference. But, divide and conquer. So basically, the 3 of us stood up for it, and we got lawyers, started negotiating a contract, and what they did was they paid the other 3 more to stay, and they hired 3 new people. So, and that's the way it worked.
Actually, 4 new people, because I got replaced.
Well, I got time for one more question.
Question, when the Power Rangers video game came out on the NES, did you play it, and what did you think of the sprites of your character on the game?
I played it, but later, because the thing is they didn't give us any of the toys. I didn't get my own dolls, I didn't get my Megazord, I had to go to Toys R Us like everybody else to go buy it, which is weird. I didn't get toys, it was strange. And so when it came out, I didn't buy it. Because I was like, I refuse to go buy this. It should be given to me. I'm like, it's my face. And so I did end up playing it so much later. And when I played it, I thought it was a lot of fun. Because Zach had a cool string with that hammer and the hip hop and spinning and everything. I was like, this is fun. Yeah, I missed out on it early. Plus, I was busy working on other things. So.
If you guys have not already gotten a chance to get over to either of their tables, do so. They are here all weekend. Once again, welcome down.